If you are looking at XRP on a 3-day chart and you see this big candle to the downside and you say the project is failing, no, it is not. You watch how things are evolving in the network. It is absolutely stunning. You watch how liquidity is entering. That's huge. So what is happening? The fear part is being pushed in through every side. Whether it's about the burst of Tether or XRP going down to zero. People would push in all this. But understand the reality is different. You're coming back to XRP on a daily and you're watching the price trying to do this. So someone is starting to buy this asset. Keep this in mind. Once you have a big drop, most likely the next run up is not always going to look like this. Usually you go back up, test the moving average, come back down. So this is something you should be looking at. Higher time frame structures will give you the best ideas, especially when the Bitcoin dominance is slowing down and it is allowing other crypto assets to ride higher. The competition in the market is real, so you do look for the fundamentals. And once you understand the fundamentals didn't change, you now look for what's happening and why would that kind of a thing play out. Dollar gives you the macro idea. So you focus on dollar, you look at dollar, asking the question, okay, how high can this actually go? If you put that on a 3-day chart, this is exactly what you're watching. If you put that on a daily chart, it clearly argues one point. You are at a resistance. So the dollar is reaching a resistance, but when dollar went up, crypto also bounced. So what really is happening? You go into dollar and it shows you a bullish divergence and it's bouncing back up. You go on a weekly and it shows you the exact same thing, a bullish divergence and a bounce back up. So the support zone here is attractive. Someone is coming back in to buy dollars at this key range, or they're making people buy it with the news, narrative, and everything else. How can we play this game? Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where the normal retail guys get to learn how to become the next top 10% of this world. First, to get an idea of where XRP is going or where Bitcoin is going, you need to look at the dominance part, where the cash flow is going in. Now, on a 3-day chart, this is what the dominance shows you. It came up to 58.59. That means a lot, guys. Yeah, on a zoomed in chart like this, it doesn't mean much for you, but the moment you step back on a macro chart, a weekly, a monthly, and you look for macro resistance, now you start to realize the fact that, okay, that particular range is valid through years. We talked about hitting 58. Now we did that. And that happened in September with a long doji. So historically speaking, now you go back in the same asset to see the same structure, which is a doji or a hammer doji, right? What do you see? And the price action shows you this on a monthly. The impact of such is big, whether that's an evening star, or whether that's a reversal structure. In both ways, it plays out. So that means there is a lot of odds now tilting towards a fake out to the upside and a pushback to the downside in Bitcoin dominance. Such a dominance drop should actually give you the altcoin run up. So you come up here and you're asking the question, okay, Bitcoin is just choppy. It's not doing anything. It's just staying inside this bull flag. That is exactly where you look at the total altcoin market. You pull it up and you're like, okay, it's not moving up. It's still inside the pattern. Okay, fine. But there is a bit of difference when you take the total 3. And this is something I want you guys to take note of. That means some assets inside the total crypto market, the altcoin segment, are showing you I'm breaking higher, I'm retesting, I'm staying above the moving average, and I'm bouncing off. That in itself is a positive story which you should note. Look at the volume. There was a lot of volume trying to push the price down. On a daily chart, altcoin showed, no, I'm not going down. Then even with little buying volume than that, the price went up. So the size of the candles, they convey a story. You can see what happened back in the day here and how the market reacted after that. So take an example, it went up 15% and that run up took around 12 days. Okay, good. Now we monitor the next half. It's like around 8 days to run to the upside. You monitor the run before that. It's like 18 days. So you kind of have an idea, just 20 days can change things. Just 20 days. Now, the trend line part is very important. You should be monitoring the trend lines carefully. A 3-day trend line here shows you're still riding to the upside. Now, if you come on to the Ether, so you want to compare it with Ether. Why is Ether doing that? Right? You pick up Ether and you see, okay, Ether is giving you a signal. Morningstar. While the price was still down, we argued it's going to bounce. Now we saw that the first bounce came in. What next? It's a honest question. I want to see this kind of a bounce coming back down in similar structure and then going back up, which would create a higher low. You don't need a huge higher low here. You just need a minimal one. And if the price action shows you it is forming that, now you focus on the MACD, now you focus on the RSI, you use all the tools you got to position yourself well enough. In the market, you have hundreds of assets to do that. You're watching a lot of different assets running up and down. So when the market shakes people out, you need to also think, okay, the market did drop. It was fear. What now? That's where the thought process from Buffett comes into the picture. When there is blood in the streets, you buy, even if that's your own blood. That means you need to think differently than the majority. And when you buy back in, make sure you buy something where the trend is now starting in your direction. If it is still trending lower, you are in trouble. You want to make sure that asset didn't put in a lower high. You want to make sure it was putting in a higher high. Because what if the next run up is going to make a new high? And then, yeah, it may drop, putting in another higher low. So the structure is clean. The fundamentals for the market itself and XRP precisely is huge. Now, if you do pick some random assets to see where it's actually going, what's the volume like? What is the price action showing you? Right? You can actually take any asset which you want. We just saw W, that's wormhole. We'll actually take that and look at it. So this is on a monthly. You'll need a lot of patience in this. It shows you I'm bouncing back. I would like to go back up. Fine. Does the weekly follow that? Weekly says I'm trying to break the moving average. It's actually good. I'm trying to break through this pattern. You go on a 3-day, you kind of get the same idea. You see a lot of volume coming in, but then the price didn't break it. Okay, Okay, so there is some red flag on a micro. So you follow it with momentum, and if the momentum pushes it back above this, yeah, you now understand it. The trend is changing, higher lows, higher highs. Now that's your friend. That trend is your friend. You want to follow that. Whichever asset you go to, this is what you're looking at. If there is a bullish divergence, you follow it. You want to make sure you take that into account. So we talked about people. Micro opportunities were always there. Now it's slowly bouncing back. So if you take micro opportunity, yeah, you step out. But if you are in a macro opportunity, you ride. What you are looking at is the next resistance. So this is where you are pointing your guns to. Fine. Now we go on a macro and you say, no, I'm riding this asset. I'm riding this for further highs. Okay, if that's you, your total aim in this asset would be different. If it's a breakout, if it's a retest and a bounce, remember what the total 3 showed you. There are few assets like this which is behaving well. It's already up 4% for the day. It's trying to push higher from the recent drop. And the market shows you there is other assets. There are other assets which shows you these kind of potentials. So when you do take those into account, you're looking at all the micro things. You want to make sure what's happening. If it's going to get rejected, you are involved. If it's going to ride, you are involved. You want to make sure a part of it is yours. Maybe it's going to do a 50% ride. And if you can absorb 30, that's good. That's the best way. You're not trying to catch the top. You're not trying to catch the bottom. But this way ensures the fact that you can still make decent gains and compound it. So if you want help doing that, follow the Scientific Investor family. Use the link in the description below. And guys, if you received value, smash that like button for me. I'll meet you guys on the next video. Bye for now.